Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Nerd Ledger. I'm Kaje, and that's Chair, and we are here.
Live on the internet.
Yeah, we are live on the internet, or not live if you're
donate so I can go live in a high rise in LA with a bunch of TikTokers. Do it now. Alright, the donation's flown in yet?
You're gonna have to let that dream die at some point.
The subscriptions are they subscribing? I still got a few months for TikTok's out of the US. I need to go to the TikTok mansions. Please, guys, please. I need to live off DoorDash gift cards for viewers. Please, guys.
TikTok's not going anywhere. It's just not gonna go anywhere. Like, they'll find a way. They will find a way to be around in the United States forever. Well, they'll just open a company and hire a bunch of Americans to run it and put it in their name, and then it'll be fine.
Yep.
Also, it is kind of like it is very much it's like one of those things that like we do as a country and a government that like isn't really legal in our own terms, but then we just do it anyway. So anyway, hi, how's it going?
How are you?
Fine. Also, disclaimer, I fucking hate TikTok. I don't use it. I think it's annoying, and yes, it is not great, but everyone's stealing your information everywhere, so don't be surprised. Everything you use, everything you agree to, these things, these websites, social media, everything, it's all stealing your information and selling it or whatever. So anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Acolyte.
Yeah, we're here to talk about The Acolyte, episode 6.
It's pretty good. Like, it still continues to be pretty good. All things considered.
Yeah, all things considered. I mean, the music was pretty good in this episode.
Yes, I noticed that too.
They did kind of allude. Some of the music is either exactly from or very reminiscent of like some of Kylo Ren's themes. I don't know if that will have any significance in the future. But yeah, it was a pretty good episode. There are still things that like are a little bothersome, but like there's enough intrigue to like make you kind of overlook it. And like, obviously there's still going to be all those people who just hate the show, and they're going to continue to hate it, and they're probably not watching it, so it doesn't matter if it gets better or whatever. Like, people just, if you don't want to like it, you're not going to like it. That's just kind of how it is. I think the first 3 episodes were not great, but the last 3 episodes have been pretty good. I don't think like, I still think there's issues with like writing and motives and, reason, but, there's this Kimmer guy, this bad guy is very attractive and very charismatic.
Yeah.
So like he's just very good. Soul is still pretty good. I just don't understand. Like, maybe we'll find out if he knew the entire time that it was May and not Osha, but like he should have. I don't know why he wouldn't be able to sense that, or like be able to tell in any way that like it clearly was not Osha, but. His whole team just died, so maybe you can like headcanon that like he was in distress and like the dark side clouds everything kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Like, he's just watched all his friends get freaking murked, and he's like tilted, and he's not like in his right frame of mind right now.
Yeah,
that's what came to mind for me.
And one of the things I do like is like the show, at least in this episode, is kind of like in real time, answering a lot of the. I wouldn't say criticisms, but like questions that people had. But like, I guess I would say criticisms, because it's not like people are like, oh, like, I wonder like how they don't know, that there's a Sith or whatever. Like, people are like, oh my God, this is so stupid. Like, obviously, like they're just breaking canon and whatever. And it's like, Bro, the Jedi are just fucking stupid. like,
Yeah, like they're
like,
just freaking like they've gotten super complacent over 1,000 years of like reigning peace or whatever. Like it's everything that the Count Dooku was
yeah.
talking about, right?
What
Like
is
that's
one
why
of
he like
the
left and became a fallen Jedi.
it's one of the big issues with fandom in general is
Mm,
like fandom seems to think that like if you can't think of any alternative, then only what you think is true, and therefore like there's no way to write yourself out of something like this or whatever. And it's like people do this with the MCU all the time. They're like, well, who else could be this character or this or that? And it's like, well, like, oh, that person died in the MCU. How could they come back? And it's like, bro, like there's infinite possibilities, infinite universes, all this stuff like that they've established. And in Star Wars, like literally, like just wait and see, which is something we say all the time. But it's like
yeah.
this dumbass Padawan literally thinks Soul turned evil and killed all of his team. Like that's how a lot of people within the Jedi Order are operating at this point. Like they've had peace for so long, they wouldn't even consider the possibility that like a Sith is out there, which
Or
is
the
like,
possibility that there's like some other Force sensitive who's like aware and like capable in lightsaber combat. Like, oh, they killed such a strong team. That's what he's. And like
yeah,
it was a joke too. Like he's like his first reaction to hearing that that those his friends are gonna like do you want to hyperspace travel? You get sick. Like shit like stupid stuff like that. Like you're right. I think this is just they're just hammering that in. Like this is not the Jedi or these are not like the hyper capable Jedi Knights that we all have in our heads, right? Like Luke Skywalker, or Obi-Wan Kenobi, or
well, even
Qui-Gon
then,
Jinn.
like they weren't
Yeah,
necessarily hyper capable at that point either, right? Like
yeah,
we grew up, as kids watching Jedi be like these really powerful, like, whatever. And it's like, even in The Phantom Menace, Qui-Gon Jinn tells us, like, bro, we're not like invincible, Like,
yeah,
we know they're not invincible because we saw Obi-Wan get killed in fucking A New Hope, which again, like, he let happen to him, but whatever. Like,
yeah.
anyone, like, Qui-Gon said, like, well, Anakin said, no one can kill a Jedi, and he said, I wish that were so. And then he dies later in the movie. Classic foreshadowing. But like Jedi are like these characters that as kids we idolize because they're cool. They do flips. They're fighting. They're like all like very knowledgeable and preach patience and all this stuff and whatever. And like you don't really click as a kid that these prequel movies are the messaging is really that like the Jedi are just like they cause their own downfall pretty much. And again, like you have to grow up sometimes and mature and look back on things and go, oh, like this is how I thought about it as a kid and this is how I think about it as an adult. I'm not gonna lie, when I was like 8 years old, I thought Attack of the Clones was a fucking cool ass movie. And as an adult, I think there are cool parts in that movie and a lot of really cringe parts that are hard to watch. Like that's just how it is. And part of that is Star Wars is for kids or whatever, but another part of that is there are adult themes in kids movies or in Star Wars, but like it's those things that you need to evolve the way you view things. Like as an adult, you can see very clearly that the Jedi were not like this all-powerful, all-knowing group of people that were like crazy powerful and
yeah, like they're even aware of like everything going on in their galaxy. I think this morning, like that whole it's just like the same thing. Like thinking back on this, I don't understand why everyone's so mad when came and he's like, oh, the Sith have been gone for millennia. And it's just like then everyone assumes, okay, well there are no Sith ever at all in this giant entire whole universe. There's not a single chance that any Sith can exist anywhere. And like even the
that there would be a fallen Jedi that they don't know about.
Yeah,
like
exactly. Like what the like, and then everyone's just like up in arms over like, oh, there's a Sith. So it's KA Monday, like, and blah, blah, blah. It's just the Jedi are so incompetent. There could be a couple Sith hiding under their noses, as far as I'm concerned. Especially
yeah
in this High Republic era. I think that's like supposed to be one of the themes is like the corruption that comes from complacency. When you think that everything's all right and it's not.
Yeah, I get part of the argument that people who are mad about it are making is like, well, you wanted a legacy character. It could have been anybody, like, but you put the one character in that makes it potentially problematic.
Mm.
And you know, I don't think it is because when they're even talking about it and Ki-Adi-Mundi's in the room, like they never say like, oh, it's a Sith or anything like. And because Ki-Adi-Mundi again is a character who doesn't like, even when he's confronted with Darth Maul is out there, he's probably a Sith. He doesn't believe it, right? So, like, to me, it's not canon breaking or anything. Like, there are legitimate things you could criticize about the show, like. Is Osha the main character or not? Because she kind of does nothing. Is May the main character or not? Because she kind of also does nothing. You know, what are their motivations? Why is May so quick to give up her revenge plot for no reason? And why does she think the Jedi are going to be nice to her after she killed two of them? And like, there's a lot of like questions you can have about like the writing and say it's poor or whatever, and I agree. And hey, some of the CGI is really bad. One of the ship docking in space, bro, that looked like a PS1 cutscene. It wasn't very good, but some of the other effects are decent. And
Like those little animals on the beach, like that was classic Star Wars. Like that scene of her walking down the beach, and then there was these practical effect kind of little puppeteer like robotic animals just doing little alien animal things, and they slowly turn to like look at her as she walks past them.
Yeah. I mean, the scenery is very nice. And I'm not just talking about the bad guy being all naked. Okay. I know people had a problem with that too, apparently, but I don't see why that's a problem.
I don't know. Tell you, it's hot.
Yeah.
I prefer. It's the same thing. That's the reason I liked I liked Arrow so much, just because they sexualized all the men. As much as they sexualized all the women, all the dudes were in Arrow were always like shirtless, like doing like crazy exercises, like freaking like that bar exercise, right?
Yeah.
So
well, here's the thing, right? People are mad because they're like, oh, they're okay with sexualizing men, but not sexualizing women. And it's like, well, are you okay with both? Because if so, then you shouldn't have a problem. And if your problem is their hypocrisy, then I don't know why that's a problem, because you don't have a problem with it.
Like, just look at Ahsoka with hair running around in like tight ass flight suit. When there's there was tons of stuff there for guys. If you look, you pay attention.
Well, yeah, but
damn.
Again, like if to you sexualizing men or women in media is not a problem, then don't make it a problem just because you think that they think it's a problem to sexualize women.
Yeah, let hot people be hot. Let them record them and put them on video so I can watch them. Please. Please, guys. Please.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? You're not.
Yeah, like like if people are genuinely like think it's bad to sexualize women and men, okay, I understand why you have a problem.
Look at what happened in House of the Dragons. Talking about like a 180. I've been watching House of the Dragons. The new episode had basically just had full CMB in it. And if you know what CMB stands for, it stands for cock and ball.
Yeah, if you know what CBT is, it's not cock and ball torture. Apparently, it's cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yeah.
Every time I hear CBT, it makes me think of cock and ball torture, though.
All right,
I've never participated in that, but I thought that was like what everybody knew it was. But apparently, it's just cognitive behavioral therapy. Anyway, so we have like two kind of plot points or plot lines in this episode. One is the Sol and May thing, and one is the Kimir and Osha story. Kimir's all like dark and mysterious and like, why do you think of yourself as a Jedi still? They didn't want you. They abandoned you. And she's like, no, I left because I wasn't good enough. And then he's like, you should put on my cortosis helmet. He did say cortosis, so it's like now confirmed officially, even though everybody kind of already knew that. And apparently it's mined on that planet he's on, which has been confirmed to not be Octo. Some people thought it was, like, very similar to the planet Luke exiled himself on. It's similar because there's water, but other than that, it's not that similar because this planet is very rocky and jagged, and that planet is very lush and green. There's some rocks, but like, it's much more fieldy and idyllic, I think. But yeah, it's a different planet, and apparently it has like harsh environments and whatever, which is why
there's something so magic about stony, oceany islands, man. I don't know what it is that makes them so iconic, that makes you just like, it makes the theme and the setting so dark,
Yeah. Yeah, it was, and it's a very nice looking planet. Very nice looking planet. But yeah, and then so Osha's just like, we're learning some stuff about her a little bit, and not really learning anything about the Dark Jedi guy. He's just kind of being mysterious and cool. And then on the other end, we have Sol and May, and Sol is just like trying to reach the Jedi and tell them what happened, kind of thing. But he can't get a good signal, and then the power kind of goes out, and then he's like sends May, but he thinks it's Osha to go fix it, and Basil's still sniffing around, and then she like resets Pip or whatever. I think was that supposed to be sad that she like factory settings him like a fucking iPhone?
I mean, maybe, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of that
Handheld
little
Pip droid.
the little handheld droid. Yeah.
Yeah.
That just seems like too much of a problem solver to me.
Yeah.
Like automatic fix whenever I need it.
Yeah. And then then you also have like Vernestra and the Jedi. They're like, okay, we're gonna go find out what happened. And then Sol, I don't know if he knew the whole time and like was just waiting for May to kind of slip up or whatever, or if like Basil actually alerted him to the fact that it was May. But he finds out, and he like knocks her unconscious and ties her up. And then he doesn't wait for the Jedi. He's just like, all right, we got to talk. And they just bounce. But like, it's very obvious. It's like Osha. It's not Osha, right? Because she's like asking all these questions, and she's like, oh, did you ever tell me about this? Like, really? Really? Mm-hmm. Did you ever tell me about this? Like, okay. Anyway, and then at the very end, Osha puts on the Cortosis helmet because it's like sensory deprivation kind of thing. So it's kind of like, the blast shield helmet that Luke puts on to like train or whatever, and it's like heightens your other senses, and like makes you more connected with the Force, and stuff like that. So, the bad guy was dropping little hints about like your potential in the Force and like the way the Jedi teach you versus kind of, there being other ways to connect with the Force. And a part of me thinks he was also at one point Sol's apprentice.
Potentially.
Because he like
I don't know. I just don't know. Like, it's hard to tell at this point because there's a lot of stuff going on. Like, obviously Sol's doing a couple things.
Well, he used to be a Jedi, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure he says that like explicitly. He used to be a Jedi. And that means he was trained by someone, and I'm assuming it was Sol, because Sol in the last episode was like, oh, there's something familiar about you. And then like he kind of wanted to kill him, and I don't know if it's just because he killed all those other Jedi, or if it's because like there's some personal history there,
Yeah.
So I guess again, it's another, we'll have to wait and see.
But classic line.
The Jedi show up on Kofar, and like they're like looking around. They find all the dead bodies, clearly killed by a lightsaber. The dumb fuck Padawan's like, do you think Sol did this? And Vernestra is kind of just like, concerned. And then she like lightsaber whips a fucking moth, which looked pretty cool.
It did. It looked very cool. Well, lightsaber whips are a known thing. I know they're a thing from playing Star Wars games. The Witches of Dathomir are famous for using, like, that's exclusively what they used for a long time until Dave Filoni gave them like those energy bow arrow things.
But she Vernestra is also in the High Republic books, and has also the lightsaber whip in those. I think she might.
Did you read all the High Republic books and such?
No. I have a few.
But you haven't read them?
No, I haven't read them. Just because I haven't had time. Like, usually I read like books on my phone now, and I have them in like print, and I just don't have time to sit down and open a book a lot of times. So, and I can't really like bring a book to work. So, I mean, I could, but I don't really take lunches. So I have like no time to read a book. Like, so, yeah. But I have them. I've read a little bit, but not like the full books or anything. So, but I have ways of finding things out and just being aware of them. So
Yep.
everyone else has those
You
ways
mean
too. It's called the internet.
you mean Googling the internet googling? Yeah, I was about to say you
Well,
mean just
I don't
Google
really
her
Google
name.
it, but like like whenever there's a show like this, right? There's 1,000 articles about like who these
Mm.
characters are, or like if they've shown up before, and it's like, okay, well, now we all know. You don't have.
Apparently, yeah, Screen Rant suggests that The Acolyte is the second most successful Star Wars show on Disney Plus. I guess, which means it's gone probably past Mandalorian at this point.
No, that article is saying it's more successful than Obi-Wan, and it's saying
No,
Obi-Wan
it's
was
saying
the most successful one, and I don't know, I haven't read it, so I don't know what numbers they're using or what viewership data they're using, or if it's like hours watched or like views in the first 24 hours or whatever. Like I don't know what metrics they're using. It wouldn't
yeah.
surprise me if it's like one of the most watched, because people are hate watching it, obviously. It's the same thing that got Velma a season 2, so it wouldn't surprise me if the Acolyte got a season 2, simply because numbers look good.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
that's all that really matters. And so I don't know, like this guy I know, he called me, is like, yeah, the director of the Acolyte seems to think they're gonna get 4 seasons and blah blah blah. And I'm like, bro, first of all, that's not what she said. She said they have it mapped out so they could do 4 seasons. They're not saying like, oh, we expect 4 seasons. But even if that was the case, I mean, that people are watching it. People hate it. A lot of people hate it, but they're watching it. Like, you don't get to make a YouTube video to talk about all the reasons you hated yesterday's episode or Tuesday's episode if you haven't watched it, and then get thousands of people to join your hive mind and hear your criticisms that are like just out of context and your misinterpretation of something that happened. So anyway, yeah, it's just kind of how it goes. So, but yeah, I don't know. It's this episode was very intriguing, and like it makes,
because it was like the come down from like the insanity of the last episode where a bunch of people got murdered.
well, there's that, but there's also a lot of tension, and like that's something that I think a lot of Star Wars shows have been missing. Like some shows have excitement, some shows have like whatever, but a lot of these like Star Wars Disney Plus shows, they lack that tension, and the only show that really captured it well was Andor. Like Andor, there was like it was tense, like you always felt a little tense, like because you don't know what's gonna happen and whatever.
Well, the fear of death. I think that's the thing. You didn't know if Andor was gonna make it. Like,
well,
he's
gonna make it
because but you don't know who's gonna, like, how injured he's gonna get along the way. Using our natural fear of like a pain aversion of all those other things.
Well, I mean, so someone I've known for a long time, he reached out to me recently, and he was like, he hated Rogue One. He didn't like it at all. And so he's like, hey, like, I was thinking about watching Andor, but the only reason I haven't is because I didn't really like Rogue One. He's like, is there any new information in there that like makes it worth watching? He said, if there's not, then I'm just not gonna watch it. And I pretty much just said, like, it's up to you. Like, if you don't feel like you'd be interested, then probably don't watch it, especially because the first 3 episodes, are kind of slow. But there is new information in there. Like the subplots in Andor are like really intriguing. Like a lot of the roots of the rebellion, stuff with Mon Mothma, stuff with that other guy, Stellan Skarsgård's character, and like the Empire stuff that's happening in there. It's very interesting, and it is like, it's not like, I wouldn't say it's like like necessary information like that. If you don't have, you're gonna be lost or whatever. But I think it definitely adds value to your Star Wars experience. So.
Yep. But all in all, great episode. We're just kind of rambling about it, but at the end of the day, wrapping up, the nudity was one thing that was really surprising to me. I don't think that's anything I'd ever thought I'd see in a Disney show, was use of nudity as a theme, even for a brief few seconds.
But even then, it was disappointing nudity. There was no butt and there was no balls.
I don't know what to show. I don't know. But even the implication of nudity on a Disney show is like, they're showing straight up cock and ball now, right? And like an HBO and shit like that, right?
Sure.
That's what they're doing now. That's what they're up to. Okay, so but this is Disney, right? This is Disney. All right, I
Bro,
just don't.
bro, Disney is releasing Deadpool fucking 3 rated R, okay? Like,
But that wasn't until later. Okay, we don't know what Deadpool 3 is gonna be like. It could just be rated R because he says fuck a few times. Okay, like it
really?
could be the most milk. It could be the most milk toast R rating that you and I have ever seen in our entire lifetimes. You never know.
Do you believe that? Do you believe that Ryan Reynolds would not put a butt or like Hugh Jackman's ass in that movie?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But that being said, though, the application of nudity is not something I ever thought I'd see on a Disney show. So I'm glad it's there. And hopefully Rosario Dawson, who plays Ahsoka, has been naked a few times on screen. So maybe one time we'll get Ahsoka fully naked on screen. Look at
Okay, that's not gonna happen,
it.
bro. You,
What? What are you talking about? You just said it's Disney. They're rated R now. Come on, man.
bro, they're not gonna do
Come
full frontal
on.
nudity of a beloved
Come
kid
on,
Star Wars
man.
character.
Or at least your butt in cosplay. That's what I'm gonna say.
Okay, I don't. Yeah, that's just not gonna happen. It's not gonna
I'm
happen.
gonna go get a beer. But I have my wireless headset, so I can keep talking to you.
Okay.
While, what else did you want to talk about? Doopy.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, do you expect to see the actual Sith Lord or whatever in the next two
Yes.
episodes? Yeah.
Either yes, yes, or no. I don't know. Like,
So
he did say like he was he's looking for his second, right? That's what he said.
well, he's looking. Yeah, he's looking for an acolyte, is what he said, and like that implies like.
Well, I thought he said, I could have sworn in this episode he said I'm looking for my second. So I feel like
Oh
he is.
well, yeah. He does the power of two thing.
Yeah.
You know, he's like the power of one, but
Yeah.
the power of two. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, don't do the last part. Don't do that. But yeah, I don't know. It's not like I know in like pre-established canon, not this current canon. Plagueis was on. You know, he was involved with cortosis as well. So I think a lot of people are like maybe expecting Plagueis to show up. I don't know if that'll happen or not, but I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. So, I hate that 2025. Yikes! Sorry, I was just reading some news that Daredevil: Born Again won't premiere until March 2025, and apparently Agatha All Along, which is a series nobody asked for, is going to be out in September of this year.
Cool.
So, yeah, I don't really care about that one. I mean, I'll watch it, but like, I don't really care. Here's an interesting thing, though. Okay, not this. What I'm about to say isn't interesting at all, but then we'll get to the interesting thing. Apparently, they're gonna release Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League in theaters, so that can go make tens of dollars.
Did you want to see it?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I don't really want to sit in the theater for 4 hours to watch a movie I've seen that doesn't add that much more to what it already was. Like, it is better than the original cut, but it's not like amazing. It's good. It's not amazing.
Yep.
And I don't want to sit there for 4 hours watching it. Anyway, what's something that's interesting is like there's been a lot of talk about movie theaters and movies not doing too well, right? Like people expected like Furiosa to make a lot more money than it did. It came out like, you know, Memorial Day weekend, and it flopped. But everybody who saw it like loved it, right? And so everyone's like, people I talk to and like kind of the noise around movie theaters is like they're failing. People don't want to go out and watch movies anymore. People don't want to spend money on movies. Like, you know, the quality is not there. Like, you know, everything's kind of like falling off or whatever. But Inside Out 2 just came out and it's already passed $1 billion worldwide. It's the first movie this year to pass $1 billion. It's the first movie since Barbie, I think, to pass $1 billion.
Yeah, Inside Out 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. I heard it's fantastic. I really need to see it. The first Inside Out was really deep, emotional. Honestly, my favorite Pixar movie forever is going to be Soul. After watching Soul, it was basically the entire movie was about death, and it was a kids movie. So, you know, they had to walk. It was like their apex. You know, like I think that's like going to be the apex of Pixar's Soul. Because I have no
Yeah.
idea how you talk about death and make it a kids movie at the same time, and what it means
Well,
to live well and like lead a life worth living for when you die, when you are
that's
dead.
what's like. It's what's also surprising is like even Pixar movies haven't been doing too well lately. Like
Mm.
Elemental, which came out last June, like it did fine. Like it picked up, but like the early reports were like that it was awful or whatever. Not that it was awful, but like it wasn't making any money. And then like Turning Red and other stuff. Like Pixar was like, they released Lightyear as well. Like they're kind of on a down streak, and like they weren't doing too well in theaters, even with like things that, yeah, well, I mean, Lightyear at least is like a pre-established kind of thing, right?
Mm.
And maybe like what do you attribute the success of Inside Out to, and like do
Oh,
you
I
think
haven't
it's
seen it yet, so I
replicable?
couldn't. I haven't seen it yet, so I couldn't say to myself on the contents of the movie. What I can say is that I watched the first Inside Out. It had everything for everyone. It had a lot to do about what it means to actually grow up, and how to deal with emotions, how to deal with complicated emotions. I just think that those themes are they hit very close to home when you're talking about feelings. You're talking about your personal feelings. And also, I've been seeing a lot of, internet memes and such about the character anxiety who's present in the movie, who's a new
Yeah,
emotion, which is anxiety. And apparently, there are a few times when Riley essentially has an anxiety attack, and apparently, many people in this country today have anxiety because there's a lot of weird shit going on in the world, and life is very complicated to be a human right now because you got to fill out hundreds of forms, you're going to pay dozens of fees to do like one thing. And it's everything's so buried, and everyone has anxiety. I just
yeah.
kind of just what he has. And
Well,
I just feel like everyone will really empathize and see themselves on the screen when a young child is having an anxiety attack, because apparently they did it really well on screen. So that's why I
yeah.
think it's successful. And the other thing is, like, they didn't, God, how do I put this tactfully? They didn't like put anything too weird about the movie. They didn't oversell it as like, the next chapter of social justice. They didn't sell this as like the next movie the white men are going to hate. They just put out a good movie. We said, hey guys, Inside Out was really successful. We're making Inside Out too. With the
Yeah.
same thing. It's going to be about our feelings. We're not reinventing the social wheel or anything like that. We're not trying to shatter the culture. We're not trying to trigger Ben Shapiro so he can go like, scream about it on his podcast.
But he probably
Like we're
will.
he probably will. And we're gonna make a movie, and it's gonna
We're
be good. And
teaching kids that it's okay to blame anxiety for all of our shortcomings.
yeah, exactly, or something like that. Or like, anxiety is not a real emotion. Anxiety does not exist. It's because God hates you. Shut the fuck
Yeah,
up, you stupid fucking
mental
liberal.
health is not real. Mental health is not real. It is a lie that your parents tell you so that you may have an excuse for your failures.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you say that directly, but it's something similar to that mind. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, beside the content of the movie, like, you know, because of the rhetoric, and I'm sure it's a kind of frivolous argument because like
Mm.
if we could figure out, like, if you and I know what gets people to go spend money at the movies, then we would be rich. Okay, like these are the
Yeah.
conversations that fucking studios are having all the time. Probably is like how do we get people to go see our movies, right?
Mm.
And I mean, that's really the interesting thing because it's like movies like Inside Out 2 now are kind of the anomalies where it's like it made $1 billion in a couple weeks, like, and it's been like a year since that's happened for a movie.
Well, it's just like, like I was talking about the Avengers movie, right? Like, what is it? What is the movie we went and saw lately that was actually pretty good, but everyone reported back like, people going to the movies is expensive now, right?
Yes.
So sometimes you wait for like a week or something like that for the movie reviews to come out, and sometimes you rely on the movie reviews to make your fiscal decision, because it is a fiscal decision at the end of the day. It's not like a personal entertainment decision,
Sure.
kind of its own way. And like with Captain Marvel, right? You and I liked the new Captain Marvel. I really liked it a lot. I
Yeah,
thought
the
it was very
Marvels. Yeah,
but the first one was really bad and it wasn't very entertaining.
made
And I
way more
think
money.
that, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And I just think a bunch of people saw the negative reviews, and they saw the negative reviews again for that movie for the Marvels, instead of giving it a chance, and they made the fiscal decision to go see something else or go do something else to entertain themselves that day.
Yeah.
So I feel like everyone knew the first Inside Out was really good, and they're like, okay. And I go on the internet, I see Inside Out 2 memes. I don't see anyone blasting it. I don't see Ben Shapiro and David Pakman like tearing each other's eyes out on some stupid fucking debate, like where they're just screaming and yelling at each other. It's not even a real debate. You don't see any of those things, and you
Yeah.
just see
But
people
also
going to see
hindsight,
a
right?
movie. Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's easy,
hindsight.
it's easy now at this point to say, okay, well, Inside Out 2, it's a sequel to a very beloved movie. Also,
Mhm.
kids. Like
Yeah, also kids.
parents
That.
will pay
Yep.
to go take their kids. Also, people who watched the first one that are now adults are gonna go see it. Like,
Yep.
and yeah, there's a lot of reasons for it. And like when you compare it to something like, the Marvels or whatever, it's like the at that point when the Marvels came out, you're kind of on the downslope of the MCU. Like people either stopped watching some of the movies and then didn't want to pick this up. All the Disney Plus shows, they feel like they're going to be lost or whatever. So maybe they just didn't go see it, right? So it didn't make a lot of money. People maybe felt like they needed to watch Miss Marvel first or whatever, right? Like there's a lot of reasons why maybe movies like that, like people are like, I'll skip this one, I'll wait till Secret Wars or the next Avengers come out. I'll watch like a recap on YouTube of
Yeah.
everything
They'll
that I
watch. They'll
need.
watch the next big thing. They won't watch the small things anymore. That's a very
Yeah,
important
because it
part
needs to be
too.
special, right? Deadpool 3 will
Yeah.
be special, so it should make
Yeah.
a lot of money.
Yep.
But like not everything is that special, and they can hype up a lot of things as much as they want, but unless you can really communicate like the significance of it, because people go to these movies now, they don't expect to see necessarily a good movie like a Marvel movie. They expect to see something that connects it with other movies, or that like is essential, that expands the universe or does something, right? Like
Yeah.
gone are the days where you can just go see like Thor 1, right? Like and like
Yeah.
it's just like, yeah, it builds the universe a little bit with the post-credit scene, but it's like its own self-contained narrative. So, like people go see those movies now and they go, yeah, it wasn't really good. Like, I don't feel like I needed to see that movie for the MCU or whatever. And it's like, you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have
Yep.
to see every movie. Like, just some movies need to just be good. Like, if you give us a good product, maybe it'll be okay. But then again, how do you get people to go see the product to determine whether it's good or not, without paying a bunch of critics to tell you it's good?
Yeah.
Because people don't believe critics. I don't believe critics. I think critics are all fucking annoying as shit. I don't
I
believe
just think it
people
depends.
online either. So
Depends on the crit. It depends on the critic. Like, it depends if you follow them. Do you like them? Like, do their values share your values? Like,
yeah,
they have your taste. Do they have like, or do you just like go and say, okay, this critic writes for the New York Times, so they must know what the fuck they're talking about. Ugh, like, you follow critics that are like, you give a shit about, and like give a shit about the things you like.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Because that's the thing. Like, right? If you just read a bunch of critic reviews, you don't know like if they have the same taste as you. You don't know if they view the world the way you view it. Like,
Yeah.
and it's the same with like random people online. Like, they're gonna say something about a movie, and it can just be their interpretation of it. You go see it, and you're like, I didn't see any of that.
Mm.
Like, if you're interested in something, form your own opinion by going to see it. If you're not that interested, then don't. Why do you care?
Yep.
Just live your life, do your thing. But so many people are just like, they feel the need to talk about things that they hate, and it's just, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it's because of the internet. Like they need the intellectual validation.
sure, I
I don't
guess.
know what
I
else.
don't know.
Like, especially people on the internet, like, they tie up all who they are, like, and their ego is like wrapped in their intelligence, and they need to be like, like I said, intellectually validated. And the only way to get intellectual validation is to basically, like, for them, is to win an argument with
But
someone
to get
stranger on the internet.
laughing emoji reactions on their fucking comment.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I'll also describe it. It sucks. Like, you and I don't, obviously don't view validation in that way, but it is just a way that other people view validation for sure.
Yeah, I mean, bro, we just talk here and then post this shit, and then nobody ever says anything. So, alright.
Sometimes they do. When we're talking
Well,
about Lord of the Rings, we can get our good friend Rio in.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, that'll be good. That'll be good. But I mean, like, even like I'll like take snippets or whatever and
the
post
Lord
them.
of the
Like,
Ring
people they don't
anime.
really say anything. So,
You're watching Lord of the Ring anime. We're watching it. You're gonna watch it.
well,
We're
yeah,
gonna
I'll
talk.
watch it. I'll watch it.
We're gonna
It
discuss
it,
it.
it comes out on the 13th of December, I think, which means that the day before is when it'll actually come out, which is my birthday.
Well, we gotta watch the Suicide Squad Izake.
I wasn't planning to watch that at all.
Oh, we need to
Isn't it
watch it.
already out?
It is. So I need to check it out.
Isn't it like
I don't even know. I don't even
on
know where to
a
watch
streaming
it.
service somewhere?
Yeah,
I don't know.
somewhere.
Anyway, how was your 4th of July?
Good. tree next to me almost, my house next to mine almost burnt down because someone lit a bunch of trees on fire because they were setting off illegal fireworks.
Classic.
But also free fireworks show, so it's hard to complain.
Yeah, I live kind of close to the baseball field that's out here,
Mhm.
and they do fireworks, but I don't watch them because I don't care. My dog just wants to fight them, so.
Yeah, same. My dog does too. I like to let her out back, and she just like runs around and barks and like looks like she's having a great time.
Yeah, my dog wanted to go out back. Usually he's kind of scared of it, so I opened the door, and then he got scared and jumped on the bed, and then he was quiet, and then I closed the door, and then he got up and started barking again.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of a pussy.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. He thinks he's a big tough dog, and then you challenge him to be a big tough dog, and he gets scared. So
That's how it be.
Yeah. But yeah, I worked all day.
Yep.
I drank 6 bottles of Gatorade
Well, there you go.
because it was like 112. Yeah.
Did you say where it was just like the harbor July 4th where like it's shut down, or is it like what?
What do you mean? What do you
Like,
mean
what were you
shut down?
doing all day? What were you doing all day?
I was on the gas dock all day,
Oh wow, just like old times, huh?
just like old times.
It's
Yeah,
like-
but it's far less busy. They think it's like crazy. I'm just like, bro, it's like dead.
nothing compared to like
in the first-
people really underestimate how busy the harbor
It's,
in that town.
it's
our
crazy
town is.
busy. It's crazy.
It is. It is one of the best places to launch from in the Delta, without a doubt. So.
It's a little different, like because like working there, right? It's like way more full service because there's so many different things we do. Whereas like here, it's like all you really do that's customer facing is the fuel dock. But like even then, like on July 4th, you're filling up maybe like 200 boats in a day, right? Here, and again, I don't know if like because they always bring up like COVID, like like it's hard to recover from that. I don't know if that's true. Like if the harbor out by you is also experiencing like difficulties like recovering after
Nope.
COVID.
Nope, not at all. Go
Yeah.
down there every day. Just a shit show. Been down there a couple times during the summer. It's the same old baby.
Yeah, that's what I'd expect. And like on the
They
4th of
ju- they
July,
jumped
bro,
up
you're
the launch price now is like $30, and people are still flocking in, bro. That place is
Yeah.
a cash cow.
but you know what? I was told fuel is like land prices.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy cheap
But yeah,
to get fuel there.
it is crazy cheap. A lot of people say that about Discovery Bay Harbor. I think that's why it's always so busy, is because it's crazy cheap.
Well,
like,
yeah,
from
but
yeah.
I know there's some voices in there that don't agree with selling it that cheap. But
Well, it's a different company now though, so maybe those
Yeah.
voices are gone.
no,
I don't know what to tell you.
they're there. They're the ones who told me.
Oh, okay.
You know the voices I'm talking about.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, for sure.
But
They were gonna sell it too, but I guess that fell through because I guess when they were trying to sell it, they didn't realize. But I guess the people that were trying to buy the harbor thought that they were also buying the levee behind the harbor. And you and I know
Oh.
that it's not owned by the harbor; it's owned by Rec 800, and then they let us use it for trailers.
yeah.
That made that like $200-300 million deal fall through or something like that. So yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. Nope, not ours. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, no, like I said, like 4th of July, like there, like bro, you're doing like 200 boats for gas, like alone, right? At least from what I remember, it was like 100 to 200 boats on a normal weekend.
Mm.
So, but here, bro, I mean, like in the first like 4 hours I was there, I had like 5 boats. And then like
what are you doing when there aren't any boats?
and then well, I mean,
What do you-
I'm just cleaning, whatever, like
Yeah.
getting, trying to even out my tan and shit, walking around out there.
Yep.
Some people come in and like, cause there's like a little convenience store that like is there on the gas
Yep.
dock. So like people buy ice, people buy, snacks, drinks, whatever.
Yep.
But like, overall probably did like 25 boats that day yesterday. And like,
That's not
and
that's
like,
not the,
and like the majority, like the busiest we were is when like one boat pulled up to pump out, their friends pulled up to get gas, their other friends pulled up to get gas, and then their other friend pulled up and there was no space on the dock, so they tied up to their boat and they just all chilled there. And I was like, bro, you guys can't just fucking chill here. Like one guy got gas on one pump, then got gas on the other pump, and like didn't pay for like 25 minutes because they're just chilling in their boat. And I'm like, guys, it's the 4th of July. They're like, oh, it's fine. Like we got a bunch of girls coming down and shit. I was like, bro, that's fine. You have a slip. Go fucking park in it. Like
Yeah.
you can't just hang out here all fucking day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so but yeah, it was like it's crazy to hear like their perspective because they're like, wow, we had a really busy day, and I'm like, bro, this shit was fucking dead.
Cake,
This
bro.
shit is dead.
The harbor that you and I worked at is one of the busiest harbors on the Delta, without a doubt. Like
Yeah.
every day, like I hang out at I walk dogs at the Antioch Animal Shelter, right down the street is the Antioch Harbor.
Yeah.
That place is dead. That place almost
Oh,
no one ever
Antioch is
walks in.
dead. Antioch is dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
But
it's
but they don't
it's
have anything there. Like I don't
yeah
even think they have fuel there.
yeah. I don't know, but like it's just no one's launching out of there. You know,
Well,
that's the thing.
nobody's ever there. Like
So,
I think because my grandpa stores his sailboat there,
mm,
and so like I've been there a couple times, and yeah, it's just dead. Like there's a trail, like you could walk the trail, catch some Pokemon or some shit,
mm.
but like it's just fucking dead. But yeah, I don't know. Like the crazy thing too is like apparently the where you are too, like they just pay minimum wage starting too. So
Yep. Yep.
um,
Well, it's because they have an unlimited supply of dumb kids that are always wanting to like work at the harbor for like the summer. You
yeah,
know,
that's
that's what it
for
is.
how busy it is, bro. I
Yeah,
wouldn't.
well, most of them it's like their first. And you know, you and I know. I mean, come on, man. Like, it's busy, it's hot, it sucks. But also, there's hot chicks everywhere all the time. Like, you know, you get tips, you get tips. Like, you
Oh
know,
yeah,
you
people try to tip. I can't take tips at my job.
yeah. Here here they let you take tips at the one we work at. Like, you know, it's just like every summer is definitely like a story, right? Like, yeah, it sucks and it's hot and it's miserable, but also like, you know, you just see all kinds of crazy things. So at least there's
Yeah.
that, right? It's a good job. It's a good job for summer. But what they pay the forklift drivers is an absolute travesty. There's no doubt about that.
What they
Like
pay
those are
everyone is a travesty,
yeah.
bro. I mean, like even at the end, like, bro, they gave me barely any raise to like work in the office. I was
Mm.
pretty much running their whole fucking operation, and I was getting paid fucking balls. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah,
So
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I was there.
yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. And even where I am now, bro, I get paid minimum wage. Right, I'm part time, but I get paid minimum wage, and like they're asking me to like help build them an inventory management system,
Then you tell them no.
and I
You
was
say
like,
like, sorry, that sounds like an assistant manager job. Am I assistant manager? No, because I don't get paid like one. That's what you say.
like in my head, I'm just thinking like, I get paid a minimum wage, right?
Yes,
Like,
what I would have said. That's what you're supposed to say. You're supposed to go like, well, that sounds like a job for management, or I apologize. This is going to be a long-term career. Are you guys going to pay me on salary? Like, you know, that's when you start making demands. You need to do that thing. You need to like take a stand and not let people take advantage of your intelligence. Your intelligence has value, and you need to extol that value from others.
I'm kind of
Because
bad at
dumb
that though.
fucking,
I'm kind of bad
I
at that.
don't fucking care. You need to learn how. So,
Like,
you know,
I was, I figure like they just like they know how to do that shit, and like,
well, they don't because they're dumb because they don't like technology. So.
well, that's the thing is like, I was like, like I can.
And you already have a corporate job. That's the thing. I said, like, I already have a corporate job where I make management systems for, like, for this all the time. So
Well, the thing is like they have a system already for their fuel, and
mm,
and they have a POS system in there to ring up the items in their store,
mm,
and I'm like, well, can't you just reach out to the people who like your contact for the system and ask them for the technology for inventory management? And they said,
mm.
yeah, that's a great idea. I'll give you their contact.
Yeah, I would have said no. I would have said, like, that sounds like a job for you. Like, dude, you are a part-time employee. Do not let these guys boss you around, dude. Holy fucking shit. Do not do anything that they ask you of that. It's probably because they want you to do it because you fuck it up, they can fire you. Like,
No, I don't care.
Just
They
don't.
fire me. Bro, they fire me, I get fucking weekends back. What the fuck?
Yeah, well, you'll be
Okay.
stressed out, then you'll be stressed out about not having any money. So,
No,
that
I'll be
happens.
fine now. I'm just doing this till the end of the summer because I committed to it. But if I wanted to, I could quit. I don't need the money right now.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, War of the Rohirrim, only December 13th, only in
Yeah.
theaters.
War of the Rohirrim
Yep.
should be good. Yeah. Somebody
Yeah,
was talking to me about it. They're like, yeah, bro, I saw Theoden King. I was like, no, you didn't. I didn't say that, but I'm like, no, you didn't, because King Theoden is not in that movie. Because it's yeah, no. It was my barber. Because I got a haircut the other day, right? So I had a couple hours because I had a half day at my one job on Wednesday, and then I had to go to my other job, but I had a couple hours in between, so I finally could get a haircut. Because other than that, I'd have no time to get a haircut. because by the time I'm off work every day, all the barber shops are closed. Well, at least my barber shop is closed. So I got a haircut. Yeah, he was like, bro, yeah, I saw some images from that War of the Rohirrim movie. I saw Theoden King. And I was like, yeah, it looks good. Like Theoden's not gonna be in that movie. It's gonna be about Helm Hammerhand and Earl the Young, probably. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
All those guys that I definitely know off the top of my head.
Well, you know Helm Hammerhand, right? Helm's Deep.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. He was like, he also said, yeah, also I'm looking forward to the Rings of Power season 2, August 29th. I was like, damn, bro, he's actually a fan. Like, he's a real fan. He knows when season 2 comes out, which means he actually liked the show. And I mean, we didn't hate the show either. So, but like a lot of people hated the show. So I was like, hey, this is like this is the thing. You go out, you talk to normies, like people who aren't like up, you know, they don't live their life online and like fucking in hate threads and shit. And it's like, hey, they actually enjoy things, you know? They actually enjoy like life and aren't miserable fucking cunts. So anyway, I wasted enough time babbling. So thanks everyone for listening. And hope you all have a great weekend, and hope you had a great 4th of July, and we'll see you next time. Like, comment, subscribe, rate, review, and click all the buttons, please. Much appreciated. Say bye, chair.
Bye.
Bye.
Get me out of here.